afternoon, everyone. It's wonderful to be here with the at MFD Galaxy event with a room full of enthusiastic and committed mutual fund distributors. Today, I would like to share one powerful idea that can redefine your advisory practice. The idea is emotional alpha, the invisible advantage that separates a good advisor from an extraordinary one. So at the heart of great advisory lies one truth. Clients don't remember the products we have sold. They remember how you made them feel during uncertainty. So emotional alpha is that invisible force, the trust you build, the stability you provide, the confidence you create. In the next few minutes, I'm going to talk a little more about this. So the game has changed, so must we. So the world of advisory has changed more in the last 5 years than in the last 25 years. So the products are similar, the returns are comparable, and information is everywhere. Thanks to internet and social media, even clients, neighbors are giving a lot of stock tips. So what's left? You are left actually. So the advisor, the human connection, and the emotional intelligence. So technology can analyze data, but it cannot handle doubt, it cannot manage fear, it cannot build trust. So that's your domain, that's your superpower. So what exactly is emotional alpha? So financial alpha, we all know that it is all about the portfolio returns. So but emotional alpha, that's a real differentiator. So the emotional alpha is the extra value you create by helping your clients. So that's the extra alpha you create by managing your clients and at every simple point of time. So when you make sure that your clients are calm, committed, invested, and when everything is around them is shaking, so that's where you create that emotional alpha. And it's like this: when the client is calling you and telling you that the market is falling, should I redeem? That's your emotional alpha moment. So when life hits at them with uncertainty, that's your emotional alpha moment actually. So you don't manage money, you manage behavior. And when you manage behavior, you are creating outcomes that no product can match. So why emotional alpha matters today? So let's be honest actually. So most of the poor outcomes are not because of poor products, but it's because of bad timing as well as the panic decisions. So most clients don't leave an advisor because of low returns. So they leave an advisor because of broken trust. So the advisor who manages emotions controls the direction of the relationship, and fear and greed drive markets, but your calmness drives your clients. And when your client is emotionally stable, your AUM is financially stable. So this slide talks about the three pillars of growth intelligence framework. So the first pillar is the ethical judgment. That is the knowing what is right. So knowing what is right, that is your inner compass. So broadly, client will call you and tell you they trust you with their money actually, and they believe that whatever you are doing is in the right spirit actually. So that's about it. And the next pillar is the domain knowledge, knowing what to do actually. So this is your core competence. So you do the planning, you do the understanding of the markets, everything actually. But this alone cannot win you the trust. So the third one is the emotional intelligence, knowing how people will feel. So this is the super power you have got actually. So here, it's basically you actually guide them, and you also try to interpret their emotional spirit, and you also give them the right kind of guidance. So that's all about this actually. And whenever you have all the three elements actually, so ethical, domain knowledge as well as the emotional intelligence, you become a partner for them for lifelong actually. And you become inseparable, and they don't leave you very easily. So this is an emotional journey of an investor. So we have seen time and again that this is a roller coaster ride which any investor goes through, be it whatever is the network of the investor, they go through this emotional journey. And As an advisor, our role is very simple, that we are not here to predict the markets, but to stabilize the emotions. And you actually, a calm investor is a long-term investor, and a long-term investor is a compounding investor. So where advisors lose or gain, thing. So very frankly, in bull runs, we don't need any advice, or we don't need to create any emotional alpha. But it's only when the markets are correcting, when portfolios are underperforming, or when there is a crisis in their personal level in terms of their life events, like losing jobs or illness, actually. That's where you are required, actually. And so that's where you kind of support them. And when you actually ensure that they are emotionally stable, your AUM is financially stable. So this is the three components or three subdivisions of emotional intelligence. The first is the self-awareness, where you are managing your own fear. And in fact, what happens is, when you actually fear, your investor fears more than double, actually. So that's the other one is the empathy. This is like you are understanding the clients. So when you understand the why factor of any client, then managing their what becomes much more simple. The third is the language which we use, that's the social skill. So whenever you speak to your client, if you keep your language very simple, consistent, and with clarity, then you avoid jargons, so it becomes very easy, actually. So as mentioned, an anxious advisor cannot create a calm client, and client fears are not irrational. So because they are also, at the end of the day, human beings, and their fear is to be respected. So these are the emotional alpha. So when you want to differentiate a high emotional alpha advisor vis-a-vis the low emotional alpha advisor. So whenever there is a market fall, the low emotional advisor avoids calls, he reacts more and he is more defensive. Whereas high emotional alpha is more proactive, actually. He ensures that he prepares the mind of the investor before the storm, and he also educates them. So it's the same market, but different client and different behavior. And whenever you have built deep trust, actually, that's where your relationships also last longer. So finally, what are the business impact that happens? So whenever you display high emotional alpha, your clients stay with you for longer period of time. They call you the first in terms of the crisis, and they also refer family and friends. They ensure that your retention also goes up, actually, and your stress levels comes down, and moreover, your AUM is more predictable and your revenues are more predictable. So what are the daily practices of high emotional alpha advisors? So what they do is, they do a regular check-ins. So the regular check-ins is not about just doing the portfolio reviews. They also do kind of human calls, relationship calls, and they also educate before volatility, not doing that. So they prepare the mind of the investor before the storm. And reflecting of a tough conversation is nothing but, in every conversation you try to improve or upgrade your transaction level. So the advisor of the future will not be remembered for how much he knows, how much he is intelligent, but rather how calm he is able to handle things, actually, or how is he standing for ethics and is able to maintain deeper relationship with the clients. So the key takeaway from this entire thing is that the markets will always keep testing portfolios, and life will always keep testing clients, actually. But as an emotional alpha advisor, you actually are the bridge between both of them, actually. So the closing thought is, the returns will build wealth and trust will build a legacy, but emotional alpha will build both. So thank you, Galaxy Stars. for giving this opportunity. Keep shining, keep practicing, and keep delivering emotional alpha every day. Thank you.